Hi, this is Phyllis and welcome back to my channel. Today I present my CRAW Pearl Bracelet version 2. The version 1 bracelet was this one. And I haven't decided if I'm going to make any other versions, but today's video is going to be this bracelet here. We're going to be using some cubic right angle weave, which is CRAW technique, and we're also going to do some peyote stitch, and we're going to do odd count peyote, and some stringing and I don't know, modified herringbone in order to do some reinforcement. But that's what we're doing today. So I hope you like what you're looking at, and I hope you hang around and see my materials list and how to make this bracelet. Thank you. The materials for today's project are some 4mm pearls, and the color that I'm using is vintage gold, and these are by Swarovski. I'm also using 3mm pearls, and it's the same color, but we'll be using them to make these units here. So I think I used about 70 of these 3mm pearls. We're using 80 seed beads. The color that I'm using is opaque luster, light beige, and that's by Toho. I'm using 11 seed beads, and that color is Mayuki Gold Luster Gold. I'm using my swivel clasp, swivel bottom lobster clasp, and an 8mm jump ring, and 2 wire guardians. My 8-pound nanofill in the clear mist color, my bead board, my fireline scissors, and a size 10 beading needle. And I'm going to get all of my materials straightened out, and I'm going to thread my needle with a comfortable length of my nanofill, because you will need a lot of thread because we're doing a lot of CRAW units. Okay, so I'm going to stop now, and I'll be back to get started making my units. We'll use our size 80 seed beads and our 3mm pearls to make our CRAW units. We begin our CRAW unit by stringing on 4 seed beads. Pull them down and tie them into a ring. And when I go back through, I'd like to go through the loop twice. Okay, so once here, I'm going to pass my needle through 2 beads past the tail, the knot. And we have our setup for CRAW. The first unit is a right angle weave unit made with 4 seed beads, and we're going to build on that by stringing on. We're building on that to make the cube. So we string on 3 of our 80 seed beads. And so that it looks like this. We advance our needle forward, and you can reinforce the units as you go. That's your preference. I did reinforce some of the units as I was making. But for this part of the video, I'm just going to keep going. I advanced forward here now, and I'm going to string on 2 seed beads, and I'm going to pass through these 2 seed beads, pull the thread, and get my tail out of the way, and I'm going to advance forward through the next seed bead here. Oh, that is not the right one. I'm so sorry. Had it turned the wrong way. I just came out of these 2 seed, I just added these 2 seed beads, and it wouldn't have been a disaster to go through the 2, but I just want to show you the way that it's easier to do. Advance forward now because I'm going towards the tail. Advance forward through your next seed bead. And string on 2 seed beads. Pass your needle through here, those 2, and when you pull your thread, you're going to get to the familiar formation of making CRAW units with seed beads. This is how your units should look. It looks a little crazy, but this is familiar formation for making CRAW units with seed beads. And in order to position ourselves to complete the final unit, I need to pass my needle through here where that seed bead where the tail thread is exiting, and through this seed bead here. And once here, I'm going to finish this unit with a purl. I string on a purl and pass my needle from this seed bead to the corresponding seed bead here and pull the thread. Once here, I'm going to pass my needle through this seed bead where the tail thread is exiting and up into this seed bead next to it, and when you turn it this way, you have the vertical hole orientation exactly where you want to be. And what you got to do now is reinforce this last unit that you just made. So we're going to be passing our needle through the beads that have the horizontal hole orientation. So I'm going through this one, this one, this one, the purl, and I'm going to do it today, I promise. And this one, bead, this one bead here where we started. Boy, I don't know, I think I might need breakfast. I'm a little off right now. So anyway, we're going to reposition so that we can make our next unit. I'm going to pass my needle through this bead here, the one that is parallel to our purl, so that we can continue making length units. So from here, thread is exiting here, we're going to string on 3 seed beads and pass our needle through, back through that seed bead where we're exiting, and advance forward. My forward is left. Once here, I'm going to string on 2 seed beads, and I have a unit here, and we're going to just use these seed beads to attach. So I'm going to pass through this unit, those two seed beads to make a unit. Then I'm going to advance forward now through my pearl. This unit that I'm going to make now is going to be the front. Get my tail thread out of there. It's going to be the front, and once I pull my thread so you can see where I am, I'm going to string on a seed bead and a pearl, and I'm going to pass my needle through this seed bead and back through that first pearl, and this is going to make our front unit. From here, I'm going to turn my work away from me, and I'm going to pass my needle through this seed bead here and this seed bead here. I'm going to finish off the unit by stringing on a seed bead and passing my needle down through this seed bead, back through this seed bead here, up into this seed bead here, and we're going to stand our work up so that we can look at it from the top, and we're going to connect these beads on for the top unit. So I'm going to pass my needle through this back seed bead, this side seed bead, the pearl, the other side seed bead here, and back into the pearl where we started. And we'll make a unit like that, another unit like that, by stringing on 3 seed beads and pass our thread back through that seed bead and advance forward through this seed bead here and string on 2 seed beads, and we'll pass our needle through this seed bead and this one to make a unit, and we're going to advance our needle through our pearl and we're going to string on a seed bead and a pearl and pass our needle through this seed bead and this pearl, and turn our work away from us and pass our needle through this seed bead here and this seed bead here, and we're going to string on 1 seed bead and pass our needle through here and here and here, and we're going to stand our work up and pass our needle, and attach the seed beads that make the unit. There you go. Had my thread tangled. Okay. So that would be this seed bead, this one, the pearl, this one, and the one where you started. And you continue to make these units until you get to the length you need minus an inch, to the length you need to make your bracelet, but you have to measure the type of clasp that you're going to use. But to finish off, we're going to make a symmetrical unit here at the top. So I'm going to do this unit with you, and this is how you're going to, this is, just pretend I made a complete bracelet, but it's just the tiniest one you've ever seen in your life, right? So we're going to begin the same way, repetitive, that we've been doing systematically, and be repetitive. My thread is exiting this seed bead, and I strung on 3 seed beads, and I'm going back through that seed bead, and I'm going to advance forward. I'm going to string on 2 seed beads and pass my needle through those 2 and advance forward through my pearl. This time though, we're not going to string on a pearl because we're finishing it off, making this the last unit. And I'm going to string on 2 seed beads and pass my needle through this seed bead and this pearl. And we're going to turn our work away from us and pass through this seed bead here and up this seed bead here. And we're going to finish off by adding a seed bead. And we're going to go through these beads, back through here, up through here, and we're going to reinforce these top beads here. And we're going to find a place to tie a knot. Here we're going to pass our needle under the thread here and pull up a loop and pass the thread through the loop twice and pull down until you have your knot. And we're going to secure our thread by passing through a couple beads and cut that thread off. And what you're going to do is you're going to make 2 of these units. Oops, so sorry about that. We're going to make 2 of these units, the length that you need. And once you get those 2 units done, we will get back together and I'll show you how we're going to finish this off. I completed the 2 strips that I need for the bracelet, and I already attached the one side, and I want to attach the second side with you, and it's going to be just by the CRAW method. I have, make sure that you keep these parallel and same direction, because what we're gonna, you don't want anything twisted, because you want the pearls to be sitting on the top of the bracelet when you wear it. So I'm going to show you how to attach these. So and it might not be that simple, but I'm going to try to help you with that. What I've done was I have woven my thread into this strip, and what I've done was I have exited this seed bead here going in the down direction, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a whole CRAW unit that will attach to this same unit on this side. So how we'll do that is I'm stringing on 1, of my size 8 seed beads. I have my working thread is exiting towards the floor, coming out here on this seed bead, and we need to attach it to the same seed bead on this strip. I think I'm getting a little, yes, we were a little blurry there. All right, we're going to attach it to that strip. So it's coming out this way, and we're going to attach it to this strip. So I strung on one size 8 seed bead, and I'm going to pass my needle this way into that seed bead. And if I sit it down this way, you can see that this is where we are, this is where we need to be. And in order to make a complete unit, I'm going to string on another size 8 seed bead and pass my needle back down into the seed bead where I started on the first strip. And I'm going to pull these so that you can see where I am, what I have here. Now I have my needle exiting this way. I'm going to reinforce this unit. I'm going to go back into this seed bead, that first one that I added, back into the seed bead right here on the second strip. If you can see that right there, and pull that down and flip it over. The thread is exiting this side here, that seed bead that's coming up, and you're going to go back into that seed bead where you started. I'm sorry, that second seed bead that you added there, and I'm going now to this way, going up into this seed bead right here, and we're going to do this side. So it's very easy to see that I've got a seed bead here, a seed bead here, and a seed bead here. We need 4. So the one that's up here is missing. So I'm going to string on one size 8 seed bead and pass my needle into this seed bead, going in that direction. And when I pull my thread, you've got a unit, but I need to reinforce that unit. So I'm going to go through these seed beads here, and back into this seed bead here, and back around in here and in here. Back up. And I'm going to continue to go to advance my needle through. I'm exiting here with the vertical hole orientation. I'm going to pass my needle through this seed bead here, and I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to pass the needle through this seed bead here, and we're going to do the same exact unit that we just did on the front. So I'm going to use this seed bead here, and this seed bead here. And we're going to do this exact same thing we just did. We're going to string on a size 8 seed bead, and we're going to pass our needle here to make a unit, and we're going to reinforce these beads. Once here, we're going to stand up our work. We're going to stand it up, and I'm going to show you that we don't have to add any beads here because we already have the 4 beads that we need here. The only thing is they're not connected. So we're just going to pass our beads through here and just connect that center unit. And we're going to weave our thread through the units. And I'd like to exit, let's see, I'd like to exit right here. Not here. I'd like to exit right here. So catch up with me, and when you have gone through all of your size 8 beads and you have woven through to exit this seed bead right here, I'm going to teach you how to do odd count peyote stitch. So I'll be right back. With your thread exiting this seed bead here and going into the left direction, we will begin our peyote stitch by stringing on one size 8 seed bead and passing it through the next size 8 seed bead. String on an additional size 8 seed bead and string it through and pass our needle through the next size 8 seed bead. I'm going to turn it this way to show you that it should be, these 2 seed beads that I just added should be sticking up, and I'm kind of making them stick up now so that I can illustrate something to you so that we can do our return pass of peyote stitch. We're still using our size 8 seed beads. I'm stringing on a size 8 and pass my needle through the next 8 seed bead. String on a size 8 and string our needle through the next 8 seed bead. And right now we need to add a bead at the end so that it's just like this one. So I strung on a size 8 seed bead, and I'm going to pass my needle into this size 8 seed bead right here, going in this direction. And we're going to do the odd count peyote funky turn, as they call it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to advance my needle. I'm coming out this seed bead. I'm going to advance my needle through these 2 seed beads here. This one and the one that's sticking up. I'm going to pass my needle now into this seed bead that's right next to the thread that the bead that my thread is exiting, and I'm going to pass my needle into this seed bead and this seed bead, and this seed bead here. Once here, I'm going to turn this. Once here, now we need to reposition so that we can do our peyote stitch going in this direction. So we're going to pass our needle through this seed bead, the one that we added by ladder stitch down here. To continue now, we'll string on a seed bead and pass through our next seed bead. We'll string on an 8/0 seed bead and pass through our next 8/0 seed bead. And when we go back in this direction, it's the regular peyote stitch. String on at size 8/0, you pass your needle through this seed bead. You string on another 8/0, pass your needle through this seed bead. And then when we get here, it's time for the odd count peyote funky turn. So you string on a seed bead and you pass your needle through this seed bead here. And you continue advancing your needle through this seed bead, and this seed bead, and you'll enter into this seed bead going in that direction. Excuse me. And this seed bead, or this one, it doesn't really matter. Just as long as you're coming out next to the seed bead where you need to be to go back in the opposite direction to continue your peyote stitch. I'm going to flip this around so that we can continue this peyote stitch, because what we are looking for now is the visual setup for zipping up this little strip. It's a short strip, shouldn't be too painful for you. So at this time, I'm going to string on my size 8/0 seed bead and pass through the next 8/0, and an 8/0 and pass through the next 8/0. And this is going to set us up for being able to attach this one side over here to the right angle weave side. And it's easy to see now that what I have is I have a bead here that is sticking up, and to match it up with the strip I need one that's recessed. So this will be the recessed bead, but up here I have a sticking up bead and there's no bead here. That means that's going to fit right into the space. Here I've got a sticking up bead and a recessed bead, and that's going to go together, and then my sticking up bead is going to go into the empty space, and that's what we call a zip up. So I'm going to flip this so that you can see. I'm not going to add any beads, so that I want you to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. So my thread is exiting this seed bead right here, and I'm going to pass my needle into this seed bead that's sticking up on the bottom. And I'm not going to pull it tightly yet because I want you to see exactly how this is going to set up. So right now I'm exiting this sticking up bead that's on the bottom, and what I have to do is find the next bead, and that would be the sticking up bead on the top that's going to fill in this space. So I'm going to pass my needle through that seed bead there and pull my thread, but I'm not going to pull it tightly. I just want you to see what we are doing. So from this seed bead, I need to go into the next seed bead, which is the sticking up bead on the bottom, and that is going to correspond with the recessed bead here on the top. Pass my needle through here. Oh. I'm sorry. I'm just bugging out today. I need to pass my needle through the next bead, which is going to be the sticking up. Today is not my day. I don't know what's going on. I didn't eat breakfast yet, and it's past lunchtime. And then after getting into the sticking up bead here, I'm going to go back down into the sticking up bead on the bottom and attach it to the recessed bead that's on the top. And what you have here is a zipped up attachment. You can't tell where your beads begin and end, but what you really want to do is you really want to reinforce the zip. And after you reinforce this zip, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how I'm going to put this all together. And it might be a good idea now for you to go ahead and attach your little short strip to the other end. My thread is already set up, it's already in position, and so I will do that. And I'm gonna go and get something to eat, and when I get back I should be able to finish this video. How about that? All right, I'll see you in a few minutes. I had my protein snack and I feel a little better now. So here we are with our reinforced zipped up end to our bracelet, and I'm going to now show you how we're going to attach our bail for our clasping. So my thread is exiting here out of this side of this 8/0 seed bead. I'm going to string on size 11 seed bead, and I'm going to just pass my needle through the adjacent seed bead here. And I'm going to go all the way across and reinforce this zip again and come out on the other side where I'm going to attach another size 11 seed bead. It's I don't know, you don't have to put a seed bead on the end, but I thought that it was kind of cute, so I'm gonna go with that. And when I come through here, this seed bead, I'm going to advance my needle to the position where I want to attach my excuse me, my clasping. I have this center adjoining cubic right angle weave unit here, and what happened is we ended up making the odd count peyote so that I could center this clasping. So I'm going to advance my needle to the center, and what I mean by that is that's where I have these two seed beads sitting right in the center of our peyote stitch. And my beads of interest are going to be this bead where I'm exiting here and the one that's sitting right next to it. So these are going to be my two beads that I'm going to use to attach my bail and my clasp. And this is a simple attachment. Make sure that you don't have any twists going on. Everything is laying straight and flat before you start this, because you don't want to end up taking this apart because you didn't check on everything before you started. So what I'm going to do here now excuse me, I'm going to string on 3 of my size 11 seed beads and the 1 hole of my wire guardian, and I'm going to continue passing around through the groove of the wire guardian after I undo this and into the second hole. Make sure that your thread is sitting in the groove of the wire guardian, and then pass your lobster clasp into the wire guardian and squeeze it. Going to pull your thread down and pass your needle through the top seed bead after the wire guardian. Pass your needle there and pull the thread. Once here, I'm going to string on 2 seed beads, 2 size 11s, and we're going to go back into this seed bead. So we started here, our thread is exiting this way into this size 8 seed bead. We picked up our connection and made our part bail, and we are going to go back into that seed bead there, that same size 8 seed bead where we started, just to make a loop. Now I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to remember we're using these 2 seed beads to make our bail and our clasp, to attach our clasp. So my seed bead is exiting this seed bead. I'm going to enter, pass my needle through this seed bead here, and I'm going to string on 2 size 11 seed beads. I'm going to pass my needle into this size 11 seed bead here that's next to the wire guardian, and I'm going to advance through the guardian. I'm going to pass my needle through the clasp and around the groove of the guardian, and pass my needle into the second hole of this guardian and the top seed bead. And I'm going to place my finger so that the thread sits into the groove of the wire guardian. Okay. I'm going to string on 2 seed beads, 2 size 11 seed beads, and I'm going to pass my needle back into this seed bead where we started on this side. The the wire guardian has 2 thread passes through it, so I'm not going to reinforce that, but I am going to reinforce these beads that I just added. So I'm going to pass my needle up here into those 2 seed beads and back down into the ones next to it. It's just like if I was doing herringbone. And then I'm going to pass my needle through this size 8 seed bead. And I'm going to turn this around, and we're going to go back into this front seed bead here. And I'm going to pass my needle back up into these 2 size 11s. And back down into these 2 size 11s. And through this size 8 seed bead here. And I'm going to flip it this way, and I'm going to do half hitch knot. I'm going to pass my needle under the threads here between these two seed beads and pull up a loop. And I'm going to pass my needle through this loop twice and pull that knot down in between these two seed beads. I'm going to continue. I'm going to advance my needle again, and I'm going to do a knot on this side of those seed beads. Same way, pass my needle under the thread bridge here, pull up a loop, and I'm going to pass my needle through that loop twice. I'm going to pull this thread and place that knot between those beads, and I'm going to come this way through these two and pop that knot in there and stretch my thread and cut it off. I mean. Okay, now this bracelet is basically done. It is a double bracelet, a double pearl. Well, it's my CRAW bracelet version 2, and it's got its clasp on it, and it's 2 strips, and it can be done. But I'm not going to leave it this way because it still has the tendency to roll. But again, it's your preference and your design decision, but I'm going to do something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a new piece of thread onto my needle, and I'm going to do about, I guess I'll do a yard. I'm going to tie on a yard of thread onto my needle, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what we're going to do to cuten this up just a little bit more. I'm now ready to place my pearls in the center of my 2 strips, my pearl bracelet strips, and I'm going to use my 4mm pearls to do that embellishment. Now, I'm just almost kind of randomly choosing where I want to begin because I don't want these to be sitting next to one another. I want them to be spaced out. So I've decided to start on this side here, and I'm going to count my seed beads that I have going this way. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 seed beads, and I'm going to use this seed bead here, the one with the vertical hole orientation, as my first connection point, but I'm not going to enter that way. I'm going to pull my thread up from the bottom so that my tail will be on the other side, that my tail will be on the bottom here. And I'm going to do this, well, we're going to do the same thing all the way down. So once I have placed my thread, pass my needle through the bead where I want to start, I string on a pearl, and to make sure that we're in the same place, I'm going to count the beads on the other side. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go into the bead right next to that third seed bead there, and pass my needle down into the bottom, pull my thread, being careful not to pull the thread and the tail all the way off, so that we have this. And I'm going to just flip it over, and I'm going to pass my thread, my needle, back through the pearl, and back into that first size 8/0 seed bead. And right now I have a thready mess, don't mind me. But once I pull them all together there, our beads, our 4mm pearl should sit just like that properly. I'm going to flip it back over to the front, and I'm going to pass my needle back through that pearl again, and pull tightly. And back down into this bead here, that size 8/0. And when I do that, I'm going to untangle my thread mess here and flip this back over on the back. And go through the pearl one more time. It's tight in there. Once here, I'm going to tie my threads, my working thread and my tail thread, into a significant knot. I'm going to make my loops and go through the loops twice. And I'm going to do that 3 times to make it significant. I don't want these to move, and I don't want there to be any slippage at all. And this is the back, so you don't have to worry about your knot being seen. And I'm not going to make you watch me do this, but I'm going to put a needle on this tail thread, and I'm going to weave my thread this way towards the lobster clasp. I'm going to weave it towards the lobster clasp and secure it that way, and then tie it off. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue by passing my working thread through that seed bead there where I tied my knot, and I'm going to reposition. I popped the knot in there, but I'm going to reposition now by passing the needle through we're coming out here, pass my needle through this seed bead, this seed bead, just weaving through the right angle weave units. That's what we're doing, weaving through. I'm not quite sure how many I'm gonna go, just weaving through. I think maybe I'll go down 3 seed beads, we'll see. I'll turn it around, I'll turn it over to see where I am, because no matter what I'm going to be ended up doing is going through here and down into this seed bead, so that when you pull the thread, it forces you to flip it over to the other side to see where you are. So I flip it over here and I have advanced. So I'm working in this seed bead here, so I have advanced all the way to, let's see, that's, if we're gonna count, I've passed through 1, 2, 3, and I'm coming out of the 4th seed bead. So I'm gonna string on a 4mm pearl, and I'm going to make sure that we are in we're lined up properly. So 1, 2, 3, 4 seed beads, and I'm going to choose the seed bead after it to pass my needle. This has no rhyme or reason. I just wanted to pop a pearl in here to give it a different view. And the only thing I'm going to do is reinforce that pearl being in there, and I'm going to do the same thing I did, pass down a few beads on the back side and come through wherever I want to put the next pearl, and I'm going to do that all the way down. And when I'm finished with that, then I'll pop back on and show you my completed bracelet. I have completed adding my 4mm pearl embellishments to the center of my 2 strips. They're not evenly spaced, but they are symmetric because of course I had to attach them to the same place on each side. But I don't find a problem with it. I think that it just, you know, when you wear it on your wrist, you're not going to be able, nobody's going to be counting to see whether or not your pearls are evenly spaced. So I really hope you like this bracelet. I really hope you try to make it, and if you do, share pictures with me. Let me know. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.